Before I start my talk, I wanted to quickly introduce myself and share why speaking at this Life After Loss conference would really be a full circle moment for me. I'm Amy Watson. I'm a wife. I'm a mother to 6 living children and 2 babies that I will get to meet in heaven. Lauren was stillborn at full term, and River we lost at 14 weeks. Lauren died just days before her due date in 2013. 6 days later, 6 weeks later, I was sitting at a BYU Women's Conference searching for answers, for hope, and for guidance in how to do this life after loss thing. At that conference, someone shared the analogy of how grief is like a rock in your shoe that you can never take out. At first, it is so sharp and painful, but eventually it becomes smooth and comforting. That story stuck with me, and 5 years ago, when I started my grief coaching business, I named it Smooth Stones because of that time at BYU Women's Conference. For the last 11 years, I've been heavily involved in multiple charities to serve families during the loss of a baby. I've had my own podcast for 4 years, and I help people see that there is so much hope after loss, that grief is not a bad thing, and that they can still parent their children who aren't with them anymore. I also want to note really quickly that I signed up for a TED Talk style, but I'm happy to adapt this to a longer class workshop. That would be really easy to do. So thank you, and here we go. My mom had 29 first cousins. I grew up surrounded by a big extended family, but as a kid, it just seemed like a lot of adults to keep track of. I didn't know how one of those cousins would one day change my life. It was March 2013. My mom had flown into town to be there when I had my fifth daughter. As you can imagine, my time was taken up by princess dresses, brushing hair, and hoping that maybe I could get a shower in once in a while. With grandma in town, I was extra busy nesting and getting all sorts of projects done before the baby was born. One of the last items on the list was pulling out the tiny pink newborn clothes from the basement and washing them in gentle laundry detergent, ready for baby sister to be born. Then, after 9 months of excitement and preparation, I noticed my baby wasn't kicking. When we went in to check on her, we heard the words that everyone dreads hearing: there is no heartbeat. I was immediately taken back to labor and delivery to start the induction process. And in the wee hours of the morning on March 14th, 2013, our daughter Lauren came silently into this world. She was beautiful and perfect with the chubbiest cheeks and so much dark hair. We spent a few hours with her, dressed her, took pictures with her, and we had our family come and meet her, including my 4 heartbroken young daughters. Then we brought her to be buried just a few miles from here where we have this conference. The day we put her in the ground, my milk came in and it hurt so badly that I could barely hug anyone. It seemed like it was just pain on top of pain. A few months later, I got a message from one of my mom's cousins. In honor of Lauren, she had donated to a charity. It was so sweet of her. From her home in a small farming town in Alberta, Canada, she had looked everywhere in order to find a Utah charity that specifically serves stillbirth families, and she found one. This charity sewed tiny diapers, blankets, and hats for the smallest of babies. All these items were sent to hospitals all around the country and the world so that when other families heard those heartbreaking words, there is no heartbeat, they would have something the right size to put on their baby. I connected with the charity, decided I had enough sewing skills to help, and thus began the chapter called Sewing Healed My Heart. As you listen, I want you to pay attention to your heart and to the still small voice. They are guiding you and encouraging you to fulfill your desires to serve and honor the person you are here at this conference for. Listen. Write down less of what I say and more of what that voice wants you to know, as I share how service healed my heart and how you can give back without burning out. I'll start with 3 tips that I learned at this time. The first is to follow your heart to find the right place for you. And if one doesn't exist, create it. When I found what I call my sewing therapy, I was ready for a more hopeful space. The support groups I had been in were full of heartbreak, and that had been great for me at the beginning, but I was tired of being in that energy and I wanted something different. The woman who started the charity that I found had a little idea that started as a seed and grew into something that she could not have imagined. So listen to your heart, pray, and trust that you will find ways to give back in honor of your person, whatever that looks like. My second tip is to believe in yourself. You have special gifts, talents, and abilities. You have a unique personality and perspective, and you are needed. The only qualification is your willingness. When we're grieving, everything is raw and tender, and our insecurities can become louder. If that's happened for you, give yourself so much love and compassion. And don't listen to that inner critic that is telling you that you can't, that you're not enough, that other people do amazing things, but not you. Yes, you. Why not you? For some of you, you have this burning desire that is raging inside of you. You'll use it best when you let go of any doubts, when you trust yourself to overcome obstacles, and don't try to serve like other people. Do it your way. I had learned to sew as a teenager, but I would have categorized myself as a beginner, straight lines only, and I was pretty slow, but I was willing to try. My first set of tiny diapers were very wobbly, but I kept going and I kept trying. The more I made, the better I got. I was never as fast and I was never as perfect as some of the more experienced volunteers, but I was able to make thousands of diapers and blankets over the years. My confidence grew as my skills improved. Third, I want you to share your story and invite people in. Your voice matters. Your story matters. It can be overwhelming to try to do all you want to do by yourself, but we're never alone in this. Our deepest fears can be unlocked by asking for help, asking for money, and sharing our tender hearts and maybe getting emotional. But many hands make light work. I found that the more I shared about my babies and anything I'm doing to help honor them, the more hearts that were touched and the more hands that reached out to help. I made the goals. I led the way, and my friends, family, church members, and strangers carried me. They walked with me. They shared the burden, and it was a beautiful thing. Sister Sharon Eubank, a leader in humanitarian aid, president of Latter-day Saint Charities, and former first counselor in the General Relief Society presidency, said, "I want to tell you what I have seen that accomplishes the most lasting good. If you want to be involved in humanitarian service, this is the way. And I hope that this is what you'll remember. You are the gift. You yourself are the gift. It is not the clothing, the hygiene kits, the school desks, or the wells. It is you." What would it look like if each of us were our own well-stocked humanitarian organization? Instead of just giving out tangible goods in foreign locations, what if we had the richness of dispensing healing, friendship, respect, peaceful dialogue, sincere interest, protective listening to children, birthday remembrances, and conversations with strangers? What if that was what your humanitarian organization did? This kind of humanitarian work can be done by anybody and it can be done at any time. You don't need warehouses or fundraising or transportation. You can be perfectly responsive to any need that comes to you wherever you are. Don't you love that? As you look to serve in honor of your loved one, this can be your guide. Whether you have massive goals or you simply want to be able to comfort one heart in one moment when you see a need, I love her message of simplifying our service and trusting that we have everything we need inside of us. I would also add that you have the extra power of love and connection with your person on the other side. That love is infinite and it can move mountains. I've seen this time and time again. Miracles that can only be explained by believing that there are angels that are ready to make things happen in your life. This is a tool you can use in your service. Start by believing it is real, then keep taking steps forward, trusting that this is not all on you. Our Heavenly Parents want you to take that love and spread it around to comfort others, to prevent pain, and to heal your heart. If the only one who knows about what you're doing is you, but your service helps heal you, that is enough. The next chapter in my story is called Becoming Someone Who Does the Impossible. And I'm going to share some of my experiences and ways that you can do what you thought was impossible too. To be continued. Thank you for this opportunity.